Today, we are going to explore an idea that is deep and steeped in the Buddhist tradition, and an idea that a lot of people struggle with when they first hear about it without context. So I hope today I can present you with a part of this idea that will open you up to the beauty that is inside of it. And that is the concept of emptiness. Now, in our modern world and the way that we live, emptiness can feel really scary. It can feel like a void, a vacuum that keeps you from what you really want or need. In these ideas, emptiness isn't a scary void. It's the space where you create. It's where you find your truest self, free from the limitations of stories and incorrect interpretations of reality. Because when you start to see thoughts as illusions, you realize how much freedom you actually have. Emptiness isn't something you have to fear. It's the very canvas on which your life can be painted. Emptiness allows us to create all the time, and recognizing that emptiness is actually everywhere allows us to see that anything can be created. In many spiritual traditions, not just Buddhism, emptiness doesn't mean nothingness. Instead, it points to the idea that things have no inherent meaning. You can start to see how what we've been building on daily is bringing us to understand this concept on a deeply embodied level. That the world, our experiences, and even ourselves, everything is neutral until we project meaning onto it. And this projection comes from our thoughts. Now, when we start to recognize that our thoughts are not always created of the reality we see in front of us, we can start to understand that underneath the layers of thoughts is a emptiness, a blank slate where creation can exist. So remember, it's not about shutting off your thoughts or even trying to control them. It's about seeing them for what they are and stepping into the spacious awareness that lies beyond that place of thinking and thought. This is where the miracles happen. When you release the illusion of thought, you open the door to a life that is not shaped by fear or old patterns, but by love, possibility, and creativity. It's powerful to recognize the nothingness of existence in the emptiness in a positive way. That all of the good and all of the bad come together, and they all mean the same thing, which is nothing, until you powerfully put the meaning on them. I'm going to let that land for a minute or two. And I want you to recognize that you are truly beginning and have begun the work of seeing beyond the illusions of thought. This micro commitment of showing up and doing this small daily practice every day brings you to the most powerful place of creation that you could be in. So today's lesson will sound familiar, but it is actually different. I warned you about this ahead of time. We will have repetitiveness. It will feel repetitive to your mind, but it is new and slightly different. My thoughts do not mean anything. We'll do the same thing that we have done, taking a minute or two to find the thoughts that are in our minds, being present with them, and noticing that my thought about whatever is coming through does not mean anything. Only doing this for about a minute or two. And then we are going to add at the end, as many times as you need to repeat it to yourself, this idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. This idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. Now, that last part may feel a little uncomfortable. That is okay. We don't want to get so uncomfortable that we don't show up for practice. And it is okay to be uncomfortable. We're starting to change. That can be uncomfortable, but we're doing it in the slightest of ways. We may desire to stay attached to certain beliefs, and there may be a part of you that does not want you to see this as true, that there are ideas we should release from or should not release from. Your mind can tell you a lot of different things. Once you can do the practice, my thought about this does not mean anything. This idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. Because once we can do that, we can choose to attach to beliefs we want to consciously. So now I want you to take a moment, connect deeply to the ground, go to that place of deep connection, wherever you are, in whatever place, and take a deep breath in, all the way down your belly, chest, up through your throat and head, and slowly releasing about twice as long as you let in, allowing your tongue to relax down the back of your throat as you take about 3 more breaths in on your pace, just slowly releasing about twice as long as you let in. Quieting your mind, connecting deeply to the place that you're in, and being present with the spaciousness that exists. And as thoughts arise, recognize my thought about this does not mean anything. My thought about this does not mean anything. This idea will help me to release from all that I now believe. This idea will help me to release from all that I now believe. Now allow yourself to do this about 5 times today, only needing to do it for a minute or two. Thanking yourself for showing up to your commitment, your devotion, your dedication. And I thank you for showing up to your commitment, your devotion, and your dedication here on day 10 of ReWired. And if you have stumbled across this video somewhere on the internet, YouTube, Spotify, I don't know, somewhere else, you have stumbled upon ReWired, a 365-day lead practice to help you rewire your brain for miracles, co-creation, and true and deep love, particularly for the spiritually curious high achiever. If you'd like to join us, if you'd like to get a daily email to remind you to show up to practice and join accountability, come over to inspiredfocus.link/rewired. Thank you for listening. Thank you for showing up. I'm Jamie O'Connor, and I'm excited to guide you again for day 11.